Hello and thank you for joining us. I'm Jorma Duran. We've been celebrating Hispanic heritage all month long with stories from Latino communities across the country. And to honor Hispanic Heritage Month as it comes to a close, we're going to spend the next half hour showing you stories that are much closer to home. Now, Mid-Michigan may not be the first area that comes to mind when talking about the Hispanic culture, but as I found out, not only did Latino and Hispanic roots get planted here long ago, they've been impacting our area for generations.
It's a collection of materials that were archived.
MSU librarian for Chicano Latino Studies, Diana Rivera, displays an array of Hispanic history directly connected to Mid-Michigan. It's packed with pictures and details of the pioneer families who became the roots of Hispanic culture in the greater Lansing area back in the 1940s and 50s. These first families of the Latino community, mostly from Mexico and Texas, came to work and found it in the fields. Many were then persuaded to settle permanently in Michigan due to the prospect of higher pay and less discrimination.
They found that it was a different feel and vibe for what they came from. I know that was true for my family.
Soon after, area Latinos began working not only in agriculture, but in other booming state industries like railroads and manufacturing, growth Lorenzo Lopez knows very well.
I'm a Mexicano. That's what I am. I'm an American and Mexican ancestry born and raised in Michigan.
His mother, Eldamira Lopez, became a very political, cultural, and social figure in mid-Michigan. She started the Cristo Rey Church to satisfy social needs. Then in 1973, she became the first Latina on the City of Lansing Housing Commission and served on the commission for 25 years, 16 as chairperson, that provided needed assistance to Hispanics then and help that still exists today.
She was able to create policy regarding our community in terms of housing, unemployment, health, education.
The Hispanic population in mid-Michigan remains small. In fact, is still less than 8%, but has grown and spread to the point of clear progress.
The community has grown to the point that they sort of know of each other, but they don't really know them intimately like in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, where, you know, you just stood out.
Growth isn't just with the numbers either. Now, local Hispanics are immediately associated with field laborers and are leading the way in many areas of work.
What's happening is the transformation of our community from the agricultural area, from the factory area, my father was, to the colleges, to the universities, to the leadership, to the doctors, to the lawyers. That's the transformation of our community, and that's where our community is headed.
And to help symbolize this success, Lopez helped lead the way to highlight the importance of this roadway in the Hispanic community, now officially known as Cesar E. Chavez Avenue. It was a strip of street pioneer family-led businesses were lined up and firmly planting Hispanic roots in the heart of Michigan, Lopez says, helped make this state so great.
To make sure that our history as Americans, is reflected in our city.
The Hispanic culture in Michigan is about a century old, and leaders I spoke with tell me they're happy with the growth and achievement so far, but especially now because there's a sense of urgency to keep striving for equality and to be a voice our state respects and trusts. Mid-Michigan also celebrated Hispanic Heritage Month with a special exhibit to showcase more than 100 years of Hispanic culture in the state. The Casa del Rosado Cultural Center had multiple exhibits to see and learn about, one of which showed how famous Hispanic items like the sombrero ended up in South America. The sombrero actually originated in France and then found itself in Mexico. Now, because at one time France ruled the country, another famous item on display was the Chino Poblano-style dresses, and the way the look arrived to Mexico was from a kidnapping.
There was a woman named China from India. She was actually human trafficked to India and sold as a slave. She was captured in the Philippines and shipped all around the world, and a man from Poblano, Mexico, bought her, and actually she ended up marrying in the community and was a seamstress.
The Casa del Rosado Cultural Center is now wrapping up its Hispanic Heritage Celebration and starting preparations to celebrate the Day of the Dead. In fact, they're designing an immersive experience starting October 15th. When we return, we'll talk about an important piece of history that's being kept right here at Michigan State University. That story when our tribute to Hispanic heritage returns. Welcome back. Sometimes groups need to flex some political muscle to try and get the things they want. And that was the idea a few weeks ago when members of the Hispanic and Latino communities gathered from across the state. They converged on the Capitol to lobby lawmakers in Lansing as part of their annual legislative day. They talked about the work that's already happening in their communities, and they pushed for policies they say will help Hispanic and Latino residents here in Michigan. That includes economic development, health care, education, civil rights, and the right to vote.
Our vote is our voice. That is the biggest way that we can have an impact upon our communities and have our critical issues not just heard, but have those issues addressed, have them met with policy and action. So I think a big part of this is inspiring our community, inspiring their families to register to vote, and not only that, but show up to the polling stations.
And one of the things they lobbied for is a bill that would help bring Hispanic history to life. It's a bill that would require Michigan schools to include lessons about Hispanic culture, among others. Democrats in the Michigan Senate have a series of bills that would also require schools to teach Black, Asian, Native American, and Middle Eastern culture and history. Supporters say it would allow students of color to hear about their own history and ensure all students learn about Michigan's cultural heritage. The series of 5 bills has been introduced in the Senate but have yet to be reviewed by a committee. The world of literature is no stranger to contributions from Latin American writers. One collection at Michigan State University not only preserves the works of famous writer Jorge Borges, but it also stands as a testament to the connection between the writer and a Spanish professor. Josh Sanchez has more on the massive collection of drafts following the writer's life.
He was playing with ideas of reality and of fantasy and blurring those lines. And he also liked to play with the borders of fiction.
Jorge Luis Borges is considered a writing giant by researchers and curators like Tad Bomer with Michigan State University's Rare Books collection. Many of Borges' drafts now sit among photos, recordings, and other artifacts in the Stephen O. Murray and Keelong Hong special collections at Michigan State University. Miguel Cabanas is a professor of Latin American and Chicano studies with the university. He says despite Borges' short stories being originally published in Spanish, his ideas transcended Argentina and found their way to the mainstream by sparking stories behind movies like Inception.
For Borges, reality is not the reality that we think, but it's created in dreams, in memories. Time is not linear. Time is created by human forgetfulness.
But Borges' writings might have never made it to the mainstream if it wasn't for Spanish professor Donald Yates, says Leslie McRoberts, head of special collections. She says Yates traveled to South America to meet Borges after translating Labyrinth and other works by the writer in 1962, one of the first times his work was translated into English. McRoberts says a connection grew and a bridge was built between Borges' work and the world of English literature.
It really reflects the interdisciplinary nature of what we do, of the materials and how we learn, and you see that bridge that the two of them kind of connected back and forth to each other.
Much of the materials from their personal and professional relationship went to California when Yates and his wife Joanne retired in 1982. Borges died in 1986 and Yates later died in 2017. In the following years, McRoberts says Joanne Yates worked with the university to donate several boxes of writings and mementos. She says had the collection stayed with the family, it might have been likely lost because a wildfire destroyed their home in Paradise, California in 2018. Now, things like photographs during his 4 visits to East Lansing are preserved in the collection. It was during one of those stays, library staff say, he taught for a term and got an honorary doctorate degree from MSU. Bomer says the items help give him and others a 3D view of Borges. For McRoberts, it also stands to preserve the legacy of two men passionate about literature.
He's creating a dynamic and different, almost futuristic idea of what things could be like. So that's the legacy that he leaves, and he leaves it here, along with the libraries in Argentina and everywhere else in the world that he touched.
Here for you in East Lansing, Josh Sanchez, 6 News.
And if you'd like to see it for yourself, the collection is accessible and open to the public. When we return.
Que viva Mexico! Que viva Mexico! Que viva Mexico!
It's time to get your fiesta on. We'll show you how the city of Lansing is getting in on the celebration this year. One of the first days of Hispanic Heritage Month is Mexican Independence Day, and the city of Lansing hosted a public celebration to honor the occasion.
Que viva Mexico! Que viva Mexico! Que viva Mexico!
Now, this is the first year the city has hosted this celebration, which took place in the lobby of City Hall. The 2-hour fiesta included dancing, live music, and authentic Mexican food.
This is about making sure that everyone in the community recognizes the contributions of everyone in the community. When we talk about recognizing heritage, what we're saying is that we would not be here if not for the people who made this so. And so I hope that all of you take an opportunity to really learn and engage deeply in all of the history of the Mexican Americans who call Lansing home and call Michigan home and the contributions that they've made.
Hispanic Heritage Month also celebrated health as well as happiness. Members of the Latino Health Alliance say that after learning that many people in their community go years without seeing a doctor, they decided to put together a health fair. The October event was the group's first since the start of the pandemic. The Centers for Disease Control say the 2 leading causes of death for Latinos are heart disease and cancer. So at the Latino Health Fair, the Ingham County Health Department offered a variety of medical exams like glucose and cholesterol screenings and other resources for free. Organizers say those screenings can help save lives.
It might be the only time that somebody does get a glucose test or a cholesterol test or their blood pressure check. And then we can tell them, hey, this is going on and you need to see somebody, and we can refer them to like Carefree Clinic or Ingham County Health Department to find resources to see a doctor.
Members of the Lansing Latino Health Alliance also say they want people to know that they're not alone and that getting the medical attention they need is vitally important. Well, coming up, there was a Michigan school district who needed a hand finding Spanish teachers, and telling you how they went the extra mile to solve their problem would be an understatement. We'll have that story when our tribute to Hispanic heritage continues. We continue our coverage of Hispanic Heritage Month with a look at a program that really went the extra mile to make sure Spanish-speaking students in Grand Rapids Public Schools get the most out of their education. In fact, they went 2,000 extra miles. Joe LaFergie tells us about more about their Puerto Rican recruitment program.
In Charlotte Caballero Rivera's class at Grand Rapids Southwest Academy, the lessons are about science. The application of those lessons go beyond what happens in a lab. It's about problem solving.
We have serious problems, and you are here because you need to learn how to solve those problems. We need people that solve the problems. Science is something that we need to use to help our community.
And the students from the heavily Hispanic populated neighborhoods served by Southwest Academy have formed a special bond with Cabero Rivera.
I don't know how to describe that connection. I feel like they are my kids, like my son or daughter. So yeah, it's something that you can describe. It's something special.
About 40% of the GRPS student population is Hispanic. Recruiting teachers is tough for any school district. Recruiting Spanish-speaking teachers is even more of a challenge. So a few years ago, GRPS leaders came up with a new strategy: go to where the Spanish-speaking teachers are. In 2019, the district's director of immersive learning, along with other GRPS personnel, went to Puerto Rico to recruit teachers.
We made connections and we networked with the area universities there. And so building relationships is key to recruitment.
Their ability to speak Spanish helps them connect with Spanish-speaking students, many who are learning English as a second language.
But also the culture is important. So we have teachers now that can relate not only by speaking Spanish, but they know the culture.
Not all of the recruits stay in the classroom. One of them is currently the assistant principal here at Dickinson Elementary. Did you even heard of Grand Rapids, Michigan? Just a couple years ago?
Never. I am not going to lie about that. Never.
Cindy Rivera, who taught 21 years in her native Puerto Rico, is in her first year as number 2 at Dickinson Elementary. She says the decision to move some 2,000 miles away to Grand Rapids had a lot to do with the district's commitment to Spanish-speaking students. But perhaps more important was the opportunity to inspire the next generation.
Yes, because they know, hey, I'm here. If I am here, you can. And you can be a principal, whatever you want to do it. It's up to them. They can do it.
In Grand Rapids, Joe LaFurgie.
When we come back, we'll talk about one of the most important parts of anyone's culture, food. We've got a special dish from Peru on the menu when our celebration of Hispanic heritage returns. Now we're going to get a real taste of Hispanic heritage by featuring a local restaurant that's famous for its Peruvian-style cuisine. Kaylee Marintet caught up with Tun Tai in Lansing for a cooking lesson.
Hey guys, we're here with Jose from Tun Tai, and he's going to show us how to make a Peruvian dish. So Jose, what do we have cooking today?
So today we're going to put together a salad called Solterito De Quinoa. It's a vegetarian salad. It's a popular one that we offer at our farmers markets, wherever we are. So we got here quinoa, already boiled. The quinoa comes from South America. We're gonna dump some queso fresco diced.
Okay.
So we got some corn, sweet corn roasted on the husk. We have some cherry tomatoes from here in the East Side neighborhood. So red onions, diced. Cannellini beans, about just a cup of cannellini beans. Kosher salt, just a taste. Maybe like a teaspoon of kosher salt.
Okay.
We have lime juice. Lime juice, maybe just about a couple tablespoons. We want it citrusy but not super overpowering. And then, this is called huacatai. It's a black mint. This is in a paste form, but it's black mint from the Andes, from Peru. It's an imported product that we get, that we use for our salads.
Really?
So it makes it very, very traditional as well.
So it's not going to be too heavy.
It's not going to be too heavy, and there's a lot in here, so we like to put some vinegar in there just to open everything up so you can taste everything. So I'm just going to go in here and then mix this up.
It seems like a pretty easy dish. There's no strenuous cooking involved. No. This is kind of this could be a quick meal.
That's right, and it is. It's, you know, it's all in the prep when you want to dice your tomatoes, however you want to dice them. Since it's a vegetarian dish, our protein is through our cheese, queso fresco, but yes, very easy to make and very refreshing. And the best way to serve it, how we serve it, is after refrigeration.
Okay.
So in the refrigerator, so it's nice and cold salad, especially on a summer day. So Solterito de Quinoa, traditional Andean salad, very nice. So what you want is try to get everything in one bite.
Okay. So I got some beans, tomatoes, cheese. Okay. This is great. I love the colors in it too. It looks good.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for cooking this for us today.
You're
And if you
welcome.
want to check more about Jose and his business, you can head to WLNS.com under the Scene on 6 section. We'll give you more information about him there.
Well, thank you so much for joining us as we wrap up Hispanic Heritage Month with our celebration of Hispanic and Latino culture here in mid-Michigan. The diversity of ideas, of culture, and of people is one of the many things that help define us as a country. Good night.